जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले श्रीमते उपागदामह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतिशे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the assembled devotees, both online and offline, for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, chapter entitled as The Pandavas Retire Timely, text number 36. Please repeat after me. Yada Mukunda Bhagavani Mamahim Yada Mukundo Bhagavani Mamahim Jahau Swatanva Shravaniya Satkataha Jahau Swatanva Shravaniya Satkataha Tadahareva Pratiruddha Chetasam Tadahareva Pratiruddha Chetasam Abhadrahetu Kaliranva Vartata Abhadrahetu Kaliranva Vartata Yada Mukundo Bhagavan Imam Mahim Jahau Swatanva Shravaniya Satkataha Tadahareva Pratiruddha Chetasam Abhadrahetu Kaliranva Vartata Swatanva Shravaniya Satkataha Tadahareva Pratibuddha Chetasam Abhadrahetuhu Kaliranva Vartata. Hare Krishna. Matajis. Yada Mukundo Bhagavani Mamahim Jahau Swatanva Shravaniya Satkataha Tadahareva Pratiruddha Chetasam Word to word meaning. Yada, when. Mukundaha, Lord Krishna. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Imam, this. Mahim, earth. Jahau, left. Swatanva, with his self-same body. Shravaniya Satkataha, hearing about him is worthwhile. Tada, at that time. Aha eva, from the very day. Apratibuddha Chetasam, of those whose minds are not sufficiently developed. Abhadrayetuhu, cause of all ill fortune. Kali Anvavartataha, Kali fully manifested. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. When the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, left this earthly planet in his self-same form, from that very day, Kali, who had already partially appeared, became fully manifest to create inauspicious conditions for those who are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. Purport. The influence of Kali can be enforced only upon those who are not fully developed in God consciousness. One can neutralize the effects of Kali by keeping oneself fully under the supreme care of the personality of Godhead. The age of Kali ensued just after the battle of Kurukshetra, but it could not exert its influence because of the presence of the Lord. The Lord, however, left this earthly planet in his own transcendental body, and as soon as he left, the symptoms of the Kali Yuga, as were envisioned by Maharaj Yudhishthira prior to Arjuna's arrival from Dwaraka, began to manifest. And Maharaj Yudhishthira rightly conjectured on the departure of the Lord from the earth. As we have already explained, the Lord left our sight just as when the sun sets, it is out of our sight. Hare Krishna. Hearty welcome to all the devotees to our today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we are reading from one very important chapters in the first canto. The Pandavas retire timely. So before beginning to say any words, I would like to take permission and blessings and prayers from all the assembled Vaishnavas here and as well as online. So as usual, today's class is also kind of emergency. The speaker who was supposed to speak for today's class is not available. So I was informed yesterday. So before discussing the today's verse, here in Sutta Goswami is talking about Yudhishthira Maharaj. What's happening in the heart of Yudhishthira Maharaj? Basically, Yudhishthira Maharaj inquired Arjuna after he returned from Dwaraka after 7 long months. And Arjuna outpoured his heart-rending pain of separation from Lord Krishna. Having heard all those things, then he is preparing himself to start for north. So in that context, these verses are being spoken. So before discussing about the current day verse and also the purport, the first two sentences of the purport are very kind of direct connection to Lord's departure from this world that we will discuss at the end of today's class. So in the first canto of Bhagavatam, from 7th chapter onwards, we start hearing about the circumstances in which Parikshit Maharaj was born. Basically, the sages of Naimisharanya wanted to hear about the birth, activities, renunciation, and departure of Parikshit Maharaj. So, in order to talk about the birth of Parikshit Maharaj, what were the circumstances under which Parikshit Maharaj was born? All those things were mentioned immediately after the battle of Kurukshetra. Unable to tolerate the death of his father, Ashwatthama released Brahmastra. First of all to kill the Pandavas, but he could not become succeed. Then he released the same Brahmastra to kill the embryo in the womb of Uttara, the last personality in that Pandava dynasty. So Lord saved Parikshit Maharaj, and eventually he was born. And he grew up, just like the moon increases day by day, starting from Amavasya to the Paurnami, like full moon. In few years, Parikshit Maharaj grew up very nicely. Pandavas ruled for 36 years almost. So in those 36 years, after the battle of Kurukshetra, Parikshit Maharaj also year by year is nicely getting trained and is grew up. So before getting into the today's verse, while Pandavas were ruling in those 36 years, what was the scenario in Hastinapur especially, and also on the surface of the earth? As it is mentioned here, Imam Mahim, Yada Mukundo Bhagavan Imamahum Jahau. So the Supreme Lord left from the surface of this earth, Imam Mahim, this earth. That earth was ruled by Yudhishthira Maharaj. So how was he ruling? These are the verses which are in the 10th chapter, when Lord Krsna was about to depart from Hastinapur to go to Dwaraka. So there is a brief description about the rule of Yudhishthira Maharaj. What were the opulences that were there in the kingdom of Hastinapur? So it says that, I just read a couple of verses. One verse we will discuss very specifically. The rivers, oceans, mountains, trees, shrubs, and herbs of the kingdom yielded their products in every season. Rivers, oceans, mountains, they might be giving whatever they are supposed to give throughout the year. But trees, shrubs, herbs, they have specific season to give their particular flowers or fruits or whatever vegetables. But in Yudhishthira Maharaj's time, throughout the year, they were producing their natural products. There was no scarcity of products. It is further said that while Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled, the living beings suffered no anxieties, no sickness, no inconveniences caused by the nature or from other living entities or from themselves. Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika, and Adi Daivika Kleshas are nowhere seen while Yudhishthira Maharaj was ruling over. So, this is the verse which I wanted to consider. Kamam Vavarsha Parjanya Sarva Kama Duga Mahi Sishishu Sma Vrajan Gava Pashyasyo Dvastatir Muda. Kamam Vavarsha Parjanya. The clouds rained sufficient water. The acharyas to this particular verse, they give the tika that the clouds would never downpour during the daytime. There was rain only during the night time, and only to that extent as much it is required. Especially those who come from villages, they understand what was the need of the water. At least in the past, there was a lot of problem with electricity. Electricity used to be there only in the midnight. 11 midnight till 4 a.m. 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. Midnight about 4-5 hours. The farmer is supposed to be awake so that they can give the water to the field, where there is no facility of the canals or rivers, etc. Because that is the time domestic power supply is not required and industrial power supply is not required. So power supply is available for the farmers. So they need to do that. And rains would come only few months in a year. Unlike Bombay, we have, in the rain season also there are a lot of rains. And some places in the central India, there are not so many rains. So the clouds rained sufficient water only during night time, as much as required at every place. The rains would understand that, okay, how much water required in this place today. That much only they would provide. There is no need to worry about going to the field in the late night and then turning on the motor and making sure that water is supplying, etc. etc. Of course, eventually after that, automatic control systems and all developed just to avoid the problems of the farmers. Nowadays, we have so many developed systems. And then, Sarva Kama Duga Mahi. The earth yielded all desired products. Everything that is needed for the people is naturally available from the earth, with little bit tilling and cultivation. They don't have to do export and import. Everything is locally available. No need to import from different places. Whatever one needs, everything is locally supplied by the Mother Earth. And the next is most important. Shishusma Vrajan Gavav. The cows with their full udders enjoy sprinkled milk in the cow pens. It is said that The cows are so happy that they would give abundant of milk. The calves would overdrink. The cowherd men would take as much as they needed, and they would take more than they can need. And even though after that also, the cow herders would continuously downpour the milk in the cowshed. The milk would flow like a stream from the cowshed. Can any one of us imagine that scene today? There is very difficult to find out the cows only now. What to speak of the cow milk? Acharya say that the cow udders are so full that after calf is taken, it's sufficient quota. After the cowherd man taken his quota, still there is so much proficient amount of milk. The milk would flow like the water streams. Even when the cows go for grazing, the milk would constantly be dripping from their udders. With that milk only, the soil would be moistened always. So there is always green grass throughout the year for the cows to eat. This was the situation during Yudhishthir Maharaj's rule. That's why Srila Prabhupada always says that the happiness of society is equal to the happiness of the cows. If the cows are happy, society will be happy. He always, in the first canto, many places he talks about that. If the cows are happy in a society, the society will be prosperous and happy. If the cows are not happy, the society cannot be happy. Even in 5th canto, generally when I take the cosmology classes, I read out one complete purport. So that talks about the prosperity depends on 3 things. Cow products such as milk, yogurt, butter, honey, butter, ghee, etc. All the different cow and also sweets, etc. And honey. And then profuse amount of the food grains. If these 3 are there, the human society can remain prosperous. But in that Papa says that, unfortunately, the modern society, modern civilization, sending all the cows to the slaughterhouses and cutting all the forests for industry development, because the forests are the source of honey. It is in the forest only there are honey bees are moving and the honeycombs are there, so a lot of honey will come, which is used in all important purposes, which also acts as the medicine. In Ayurveda, most of the medicine are administered along with either ghee or honey. So then third one is profuse amount of food grains. And Srila Prabhupada says that no one is farming nowadays and everyone is going after industries. So when these 3 are not there, the human civilization will become, Prabhupada says that, it will no more be prosperous. That will become a demonic civilization. Like the Srila Prabhupada says in the 5th canto purport in 16th chapter. So, and then Acharya says that while Yudhishthir Maharaj was ruling for those 36 years after the battle of Mahabharata, though it was the fag end of Dwapara Yuga, the entire atmosphere was like that of Satya Yuga. First one is of the 4 Yuga, Satya Yuga, then Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, then Dwapara Yuga, then Kali Yuga. The Mahabharata battle was happening almost at the end of Dwapara Yuga. Very soon Kali Yuga is going to begin. That's what the current verse says that we will discuss at the end of the class today. So that time it was like Satya Yuga. And then eventually, in order to talk about what were the activities of Parikshit Maharaj, for Parikshit Maharaj to perform activities, he was supposed to become the king. For him to become the king, the Pandavas supposed to retire. So in order to explain about the retirement of Pandavas, then 13th chapter talks about arrival of Vidura. Having heard from Maitreya Rishi about Bhakti and Bhagavan sufficiently, Vidura comes home, speaks very harshly to Dhritarashtra and makes him quit the royal opulences in which he was living for the last 36 years, in spite of the loss of his 100 sons and more. So somehow hearing the words of Vidura, Dhritarashtra left home, taking the help of Vidura. Then there, even though Vidura knew about the departure of Lord Krishna, Vidura did not inform to the Pandavas. He talked about his entire journey for the last 35 years where he was traveling all over the surface of the earth as a renounced person. He talked about everything. Though he knew that Pandavas, the Lord Krishna and Adavas already departed from this surface of the earth, he did not inform to the Pandavas because he does not want to see the pain which is anyway going to come very soon. If not tomorrow somebody will come and inform the news. So I don't want to see the pain of the Pandavas. Thinking like that, he did not inform. He took Dhritarashtra, Gandhari and took them to Himalayas. And then Yudhishthira was lamenting for the loss of his uncles. Then Narada Muni comes and pacifies him. So my dear Yudhishthira, don't worry. Continue to rule over as long as Krishna is around. Try to fulfill the desire of Lord Krishna as long as he is around. Telling like that, Narada Muni also departs from there. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj sends Arjuna to Dwaraka to find out what's happening in Dwaraka. While Arjuna is in Dwaraka, so many things were happening in Hastinapur, which Yudhishthira Maharaj observes. Previously, we read a couple of verses which talked about the earth was producing sufficiently, the cows were producing sufficiently, etc. etc. Then similarly, now, when Arjuna went to Dwaraka, in the absence of Arjuna, Yudhishthira Maharaj also observing something peculiar around him. What was he observing? This is from 14th chapter, the previous chapter. The verses say that, Na pibanti stanam vasta, na duyanti cha matara. The calves do not drink milk and the cows do not give milk. Previously, the milk were downpouring like the constant stream, like a waterfall throughout the day. Now there is no milk in the udder of the cow. How can the calf will drink the milk? Then it says that Rudanti ashrumuka gavo na rishanti rishabha vraje. The cows wail with tearful faces and the bulls do not enjoy the fields. The cows are, instead of giving the milk throughout the day, they are giving the tears throughout the day. And the bulls are not at all willing to go to field for cultivating the land. So like that, there are many symptoms were mentioned. The deities seem to be weeping, perspiring and moving about. Daivatani rudantiva svidantihi uchalanticha. The deities installed in the temples, they are always smiling. They never sweat. They don't move. They always stay there. But Yudhishthira Maharaj seeing them exhibiting tears, sweat, and they starts vacating that place. No, we don't want to stay here now anymore. These were the symptoms were there around. The populated areas, villages, towns, gardens, and hermitages are devoid of splendor and bliss. All over, everywhere it is deep darkness. No one is happy at all. So these were the different symptoms observed by Yudhishthira Maharaj. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj understood that Manya, he considered within himself and he was telling to Bhima, who was sitting next to him, my dear Anuja, I am observing all these symptoms because of one thing, I think. What is that? Manya etair mahut patai. There has been a great calamity, Maha Utpata. What is the great calamity? Nunam Bhagavata Padai Hina Nunam Bhagavata Padai Hina Bur Hata Saubaga. The earth with the plants, creepers, cows, bulls has become unhappy because the earth is no more touched by the feet of Lord Sri Krishna. All these years, the earth was constantly touched by the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. That's why the earth was so happy. And every living entity on the surface of the earth were so happy. Now earth is not being touched by the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. That's why no one is happy at all. That is the only reason I can comprehend, I can think of. There is no other reason for all the symptoms that I am observing. There are many things are mentioned. These were discussed in the previous classes. We will not go through. And then eventually, while he was thinking like that, Arjuna came and he asked many other questions about the welfare of the Yadavas. But he said, are you unhappy because your dearmost friend has left you? Arjuna says, yes. That Lord, by whose mercy we have achieved whatever we have achieved in our entire life, has left. By whose mercy I had the power to astonish Lord Shiva, all the way up to Lord Shiva. Even Lord Shiva was very much astonished, very much happy by exhibition of my power, my valor. That is all because of Lord's mercy. But now, bereft of Lord's presence, all my power is of no use. Have been defeated by infidel cowherd boys while I was escorting the queens of Lord Krishna to Hastinapur. Now only thing left for me is to remember the words spoken by Lord Krishna at the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra, the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. So remembering those instructions, Arjuna became composed. And that's where the Arjuna story is over. Now Sutta Goswami talks about what's happening in the heart of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Now, Arjuna also mentioned about the departure of Yadavas. He says that by the will of the Supreme Lord, all the Yadavas have been to Prabhas. There, they drank a kind of wine made from rice and they fought among themselves. They killed each other. Just like a big fish kills and eats a small fish, two equally powerful fishes fight among themselves and kill each other. Like that, the Yadavas killed each other in a fratricidal war, and the entire race of Yadavas was wiped out from the surface of the earth. So these were the couple of words that are spoken by Arjuna unto Yudhishthira Maharaj. Now, Sutta Goswami is talking about what exactly happened in the background. In the last 2 days verses, yesterday and day before yesterday, there was a discussion about how these Yadavas were departed from the surface of the earth, eventually culminating with the departure of Lord Krishna. That is being presented in today's verse. So in the verse number 33, it is said that, okay, 33 is about Kunti Maharani. 34, the day before yesterday's verse, it is said that, Yaya aharad bhuvo baram tam tanum vijahav aja kantakam kantake neva dvayam chapsitu samam. It says that just like when our feet is having a pinprick, a thorn entered into our feet. So the thorn is removed by the help of another thorn. A strong thorn is taken. It is little bit move here and there and then take it out. One thorn is used to remove the another thorn. The Supreme Lord used the Devatas as the main thorn to remove the Asuras who are spread all over the surface of the earth. That is what is indicated there. For many, of course, many, from the point of Krishna's appearance, few generations backward, the Asuras started appearing on the surface of the earth as various kings. They began to spread adharma all over. Since adharma is spreading all over, there were no performance of fire sacrifices, which actually nourished the devatas, which actually nourished the varnashrama dharma. All the devatas petitioned to Lord Vishnu. Of course, Mother Earth, unable to tolerate the overburden of all these asuras, approached Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma took all the devatas to Vishnu and they petitioned to Lord Vishnu that please do something. So being petitioned by Mother Earth, Brahma and all the devatas, Lord said that I will very soon appear. My dear devatas, all of you also appear in various dynasties in order to assist in my pastimes. Thus many of the devatas have appeared as Pandavas, as Yadavas, etc. etc. So many of the Yadavas who are the eternal associates of Lord Krishna in the spiritual world. When Lord Krishna is about to come, they also descended. But Devatas have entered into them as a Amsha in order to assist Lord's pastimes. So after completing all the pastimes, Lord Krishna, after removing the burden of the earth from the surface of the earth, Bhagavatam says that Lord Krishna, either personally or with the help of Yadavas headed by Balramji, or with the help of the Pandavas headed by Arjuna and Bhima, removed a total of 100 Akshahuni Sena along with their leaders. In various battles, Lord Krishna fought, either himself or with the Pandavas. Total of 100 Akshahuni Sena has been removed from the surface of the earth. The first battle which Lord Krishna had with Jarasandha, he killed 23 Akshahuni. In the Mahabharata battle, 18 Akshahuni were killed. So like that, various battles, many number of Akshahuni Senas were killed. Like that, the entire Asuras who descended onto the surface of the earth as Kshatriyas have been wiped out by Lord Krishna. They were all like the pinprick which entered into the feet, which is causing pain. And Lord Krishna used all the devatas as the thorn that is removing the thorn in the feet. But now, finally, the comparison is both are thorns only. The thorns should not stay long. They should be removed. So before Lord Krishna is about to wind up his pastimes, he wanted to take away this good thorn also. So for taking out that good thorn, Lord Krishna orchestrated the pastime of Prabhas, the Maushal Lila. Lord Krishna personally created the ill omens within Dwaraka. Just like we discussed that Yudhishthira Maharaj is observing all the ill omens in Hastinapur. Few days back, there were so many ill omens in Dwaraka. Everyone was afraid, what's happening. Lord Krishna called all the Yadavas and said that let us go to Prabhas. Just like moon, having been cursed by Daksha, went to Prabhas, worshipped Lord Shiva, by which he regained his brightness. Previously, it seems that moon was full bright throughout the year, throughout the month. But Daksha cursed moon to lose his brightness. He was gradually diminishing. But by worshipping Lord Shiva, the Shiva made an arrangement that 15 days you will reduce your brightness by the curse of Daksha. Other 15 days, you will resume your brightness by my blessings. And that is what we observe today. 15 days, the moon's brightness is gradually reducing from Paurnami to Amavasya, and Amavasya to Paurnami, his brightness is gradually increasing. So Lord Krishna said that let us also go to Prabhas, let us worship all the devatas and also Shiva, and we will remove all these ill omens. They went there, they worshipped devatas, they worshipped brahmanas, cows, they gave charities, everything is done. At the end, they drank a kind of wine called Maireya, made up of rice. And they became intoxicated. They fought among themselves and they killed each other. In that fight, even Lord Krishna was participated, Balramji was participated, and being disgusted, Balramji, assuming the form of Shesha, entered into the ocean. Prabhas is on the bank of the ocean, entered into the ocean, and went wherever he's supposed to go. And then Lord Krishna sitting underneath a banyan tree, not banyan tree, pipal tree, he also left from this earth. Here, I would mention one story. There is one more story. Of course, at the end of the story, Lord Krishna left behind his body. Yadavas fought among themselves and killed each other. Balramji left behind his body and assuming a snake form and went into the ocean, disappeared. Lord Krishna left behind his body and disappeared. And just before that, Jara, a hunter, came and shoot arrows at Lord Krishna's thumb. Many people say that by the hit of that arrow, Lord Krishna left. This is the common story. So this is one side the story happened, which Arjuna narrated, which Sutta Goswami narrating here, which Bhagavatam 11th canto, Sukadeva Goswami further narrates the same story. This is the normal story. But Acharyas explained that what exactly happened is, when Lord Krishna requested Yadavas to go to Prabhas, most of the Yadavas were twin personalities. For example, Pradyumna. Pradyumna is one of the quadruple expansion of Lord himself. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Here Pradyumna is the son of Lord Krishna. But Kamadeva, one of the Devatas, entered into Pradyumna. So Kamadeva, by the request of Lord Vishnu, appeared in this Yadu dynasty, having entered into Pradyumna. And then Samba. Samba is also one of the eternal children of Lord Krishna. But Kartikeya appeared having entered into Samba. So like that, various personalities have entered into the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord. So Lord Krishna separated them. The eternal associates of Lord Krishna remained in Dwaraka. Only the Devata portions have been to Prabhas. And having worshipped the Devatas, having worshipped the Brahmanas, having worshipped the cows, having given charities to the Brahmanas, everything is over. Lord Krishna told, my dear Devatas, thank you very much for coming down and assisting me all these years. Please go back and resume your respective activities. In second canto, one may say that, hey, how is it that Lord Krishna telling all the Devatas to go back and resume their activities? He could have taken all the Devatas back to Godhead. Whenever somebody practices bhakti, whenever someone does seva, they need to be taken back to Godhead immediately. Why they should be left behind in this material world? But in second canto, in the 9th chapter, where Lord Narayana was speaking Chatushloki Bhagavatam to Lord Brahma, in one verse, it says that the word Yavat is used. So in the purport, Acharya says that Yavad Adhikaram Adhikaritaha, as long as one is designated in one's post, they need to render their service for that much time period. The Devatas have been assigned their seva for one Manvantara time period. They might be assisting the Lord now and then whenever Lord appears. When Lord appeared as Lord Ram, they came down as Vanaras. When Lord appeared as Krishna, they came down as Yadavas. But they cannot go back to God immediately. They need to continue their service as long as their tenure is there. That's why we see in the Bhagavatam many times, even though sometimes the Devatas make some mistake, Gandharvas or Devatas, they are cursed to come to earth to become like this, like that, other animal, this, that. But when the cursing period is over, they go back to Swarga and resume their service. Because the tenure is not yet over. They only need to continue for one Manvantara. Afterwards, they will go back to Godhead. That's why all these Devata portions who appeared as Yadavas, they are supposed to go to Devaloka. So by Lord's request, they went back to Devaloka. But Lord Krishna orchestrated the pastime of fighting among themselves, even though fighting did not take place. That is for a reason. Even though Lord Balramji and Lord Krishna are Sachidananda Swarupa, they are transcendental in their themselves, but still they left behind their material bodies. That is to orchestrate one pastime. That we will discuss from today's verse. So, in yesterday's verse, it is said that Yata Masyadi Rupani Datte Jayad Yate Nata Bhubara Kshepito Yena Jahau Bhubara Kshepto Yena Jahau Tat Cha Kalevaram. It is said that just like a magician, when he is performing magic in the assembly, there could be very variety of magic. He may create something like that. He may transfer one's belongings to somebody else, somebody belongs to other person, etc. But the magic reaches to crescendo that the magician plays the magic in such a way that he himself cuts off his right hand, left hand, legs, abdomen, neck. He himself takes out his eyes and shows holes in his hand. And he performs magic in such a way that he is killed in front of the assembly. But a day later, he again comes. In the magic show, he killed himself. He died. But one day later, he again comes back. Similarly, though the Lord manifests the Leela of leaving his body, but that is like a magic show. He remains transcendental. He remains eternally as he is. Whatever he does for a particular purpose. Though Lord Krishna is eternally transcendental, Lord Rama performed his pastimes. At the end, he entered into Sarayu river along with Bharata Shatrugna, and they went back to Godhead. All the Ayodhya followed Lord Ram. They also went back to spiritual world, to the spiritual Ayodhya. But Lord Krishna did not do like that. Lord Krishna orchestrated the fight among the Yadavas and left behind his body. And this is written in every scripture. It is there in Mahabharata, it is there in all the Puranas. All the 18 Puranas talk about this. The fratricidal war between the Yadavas and Lord Krishna leaving behind his body. The reason is mentioned in the today's verse. Yada mukundo bhagavan imam mahim jahau swatanva shravaniya satkata tadaha reva partirudda chetasam abhadra hetu kaliranva vartata. It said that Yada mukundo bhagavan imam mahim jahau, Lord departed from the surface of this earth with his own self-same transcendental body. Here, Sutta Goswami is talking about what's happening in the heart of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Swatanva, Lord left with his own transcendental body. But from Arjuna's words, Lord's body is left here only. That is the reason is Tadaha Reva Tad Ahar. We hear the word called Ahar Nisha. Aha means daytime, Nisha is nighttime. Aho Ratri, daytime, nighttime. Lord Krishna departed in the middle of the night. The immediate next morning, Kali Yuga began. In order to manifest Kali Yuga, in order to start Kali Yuga, Lord Krishna orchestrated the fight among the Yadavas, though it is not actually there. He just showed the scene, which was revealed to all the sages. And Vyasadeva compiled it in every scripture, in all the Puranas, in Mahabharata. He talked about it elaborately. A huge fight happened like this, so big. It's a Mushal Parva is a big parva, like a Kurukshetra battle only. That is all to start Kali Yuga. Tad Ahar Eva Pratibuddha Chetasam. Where Kali Yuga began? Kali Yuga began in the heart of those people who have contaminated intelligence. Kali Yuga did not start everywhere. Kali Yuga started in the heart of those people who had contaminated consciousness. Pratibuddha chetasam. Abhadra hetu kaliranna vartata. The Kali began manifested, which is meant to show abhadra, inauspiciousness all over. As we started our discussion stating that during the rule of Yudhishthira Maharaj, which though it was the end of Dwapara Yuga, the entire atmosphere was like that of Satya Yuga. Normally, the progression is Satya Yuga to Treta Yuga, Treta to Dwapara, Dwapara to Kali. It's a gradual degradation. But now, the atmosphere is like that of Satya Yuga. Now there should be a sudden jump. Satya Yuga is here, Kali Yuga is here. Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, it would have been a seamless transition. But now from here, the sudden jump should be there. In order to cause sudden jump of surrounding atmosphere, Lord Krishna orchestrated the fight among the Yadavas and orchestrated that Lord Balramji and Lord Krishna himself left behind their bodies. So that those people whose consciousness is Pratibuddha Chetasam, it is opposite, it is contrary to the consciousness of civilized human being. In their hearts, the Kali immediately manifest. How? We just take references from couple of verses from Bhagavad Gita chapter 18. This is verse number 30, which says that Pravrittimcha nivrittimcha karya karye baya baye bandham moksham cha yaveti buddhi sa partha satviki. The people in the mode of goodness, what kind of intelligence or what kind of understanding do they have? This verse talks about that. Pravrittimcha nivrittimcha. What is dharma? What is supposed to be practiced? Nivrutti. What is adharma? What is supposed to be avoided or forbidden? Karya, akarya. What kind of varna duties to be performed? What kind of duties should not be performed? Baya, abhaya. What should be feared? What should not be feared? Bandham moksham cha yaveti. What causes bondage? What causes liberation? One who knows all these things properly, his intelligence is in the mode of goodness. Buddhi sa satviki. O Arjuna, his buddhi is in the mode of goodness. Similarly, the buddhi in the mode of passion thinks like this. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam cha karyam evacha ayatavat prajanati buddhi sa partha rajasi. Yaya dharmam adharmancha. Whether this is dharma or this is dharma, this is adharma, this is adharma, this should be done, or this should be feared, this should not be feared. They always have confusion. They cannot ascertain what is right, what is wrong. There is always confusion. People in the mode of goodness, they know what is what. People in the mode of passion, they cannot ascertain what is right, what is wrong. And now the intelligence in the mode of ignorance. Adharmam dharmam iti. They are completely convinced. Adharma to be dharma, dharma to be adharma. Manyate tamasavruta. Sarvartan viparitam sha. Buddhi sa partha samati. Sarvartan viparitam cha. In every respect, they think other way. For everything, they are firmly convinced about opposite. Whether something is dharma, they say it is adharma. Something is adharma, they say it is dharma. That is the nature of intelligence in the mode of ignorance. And Shastra says that Satya Yuga is predominated by Sattva Guna. People in general in the mode of goodness and their intelligence also in the mode of goodness. They know what is dharma, what is adharma, they follow dharma, they avoid adharma. Fair and clear. In Treta Yuga, there is a mixture of Sattva Guna plus Rajoguna. So slight confusion. But in Dwapara Yuga, it is completely Rajoguna. Also, there is a mixture of some Tamoguna. They are always confused. This we should do this or that, this or that, this or that. Always lot of confusion. But Kali Yuga, fully ignorance. Everyone think of adharma to be, majority think of the adharma to be dharma, dharma to be adharma. That's why this verse Sutta Goswami very clearly says that Eva Pratibuddha Chetasam, those people whose intelligence is firmly convinced, firmly rooted in adharma or tamasa, ignorance, in their heart Kali Yuga began from the day after Lord Krishna's departure. But others who are convinced about Bhagavan, they never have any doubt about the Lord. So these people, what they start saying is that, what kind of devotees are these Yadavas? At the end, they fought among themselves, they killed each other. Devotees will do like this? And what kind of Lord is he? Being shooted by an arrow and by an hunter, and he died there himself. What kind of God is he? Is he God? Saying such kind of words, they gave rise to Kali Yuga to manifest in their heart. Like that, Kali Yuga began. Just a day before it was Satya Yuga. A day after, fell down to Kali Yuga. For that purpose, Lord Krishna orchestrated the pastime of Maushal Lila, so that the things will go on in Kali Yuga afterwards. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the first two lines of the purport, the influence of Kali can be enforced only upon those who are not fully developed in God consciousness. Those who are firmly convinced about the true transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord, they are never disturbed by such kind of stories. The story is there, but they try to understand from Acharyas what purpose Lord orchestrated the story. Then they remain calm and peaceful and then convinced about what exactly. But others whose intelligence is contaminated, they will give rise to so many other philosophies, and then the Kali Yuga manifested. One can neutralize the effects of Kali by keeping oneself fully under the supreme care of the personality of Godhead. So, by taking shelter of Krishna consciousness, one can protect one's consciousness. So that is what Srila Prabhupada says. So though Kali Yuga is surrounded by mode of ignorance, but one can save oneself by taking shelter of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. These are the few words based on this purport and some recap of the previous sections of the same chapter. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Bhakta Vrinda ki.